David Berko. I just thought of, well, I remembered it after I recorded this, but Ethiopia had a Jewish population since the time of King Manasseh before the first century. You know, Axum was a Jewish kingdom. Many believe the Ark of the Covenant is there. I am among those people. It became a Christian nation in, I believe, 397, and Christian and Jew, the Falasha, lived side by side with zero persecution. No persecution. The oldest synagogue, the oldest working synagogue, I don't know if it's in the world or in Europe, is in Rome. Now that's Roman Catholic, but of the Orthodox, look at Aleppo, or look at Ethiopia. There was never any hatred of Jew and Eastern Orthodox there. There was, in the 19th century, there started to be things of in Russia, pogroms, or what, they didn't happen all the time. They happened once every 30 years or so. And what we would call anti-Semitism today, which is anti-Judaism or anti-Jewishness. It's not, as you know, the vast majority of Jews aren't Semites, and the Arabs are the Semite. That's a different issue. Was the actions of the Hasids, that are a later faction of Judaism. They started around the 1700s, and being very closed off. And when they talk about the Jewish ghettos in those areas, they were self-contained. They voluntarily separated themselves out, and it caused hostility with the population. And the Sephardim lived, and the Falasha lived amongst the Orthodox, but in these places they would store up grain, and during starving times, they had these strange ideas that were foreign to Judaism at the time, that they would call the Christians Edomites, and they would call us Amalek, and they would let children starve. So that's when it started kicking up, and there started to be hatred against them. Again, there's also a miscommunication between what is the Pharisees. A group of Pharisees turned into the Rabbinite Jews, not the Karaites, the Rabbinites. When it talks against the Pharisees, that doesn't mean all Jews most Jews were not Pharisees at the time of the first century. And there were different groups of Pharisees. It wasn't just the Pharisees were one group. There were different parties that followed different people. I mean, there's a group that followed Rabbi Akiva during the Berko Revolt. So I would point you to the Orthodox Kingdom of Ethiopia, that had just fallen, I think, in the 50s or 60s. Jew and Orthodox lived side by side, zero persecution. Peace to you. May God save Serbia, Syria, and Ireland.